everyone, how are you guys today? You guys, we are live here on the Redesign with Prima Facebook page, and it's been a really fun day. Have you guys been following along with all the lives this morning? I've been trying to follow along and get ready at the same time, but it's been a morning of live reveals on the Redesign with Prima page. My name is Brushed by Brandy. My name is Brandy, and I'm the owner and artist behind Brushed by Brandy. And I am a Redesign with Prima content creator, and I'm here to share a brand new collection with you guys. I'm super excited to do this. It is a beautiful collection. It was the one that jumped out to me initially and fits most with my style of painting. So I'm going to share with you guys the new Bohemian Paisley collection from Redesign with Prima. It is a whole collection of products that all coordinate together. And so I'm going to go through each one and show you guys that. And if we have time, we will go ahead and do some demos at the end with all the products. My husband Sean is here behind the camera to help answer any questions. Sharon from Redesign with Prima should also be on, and she's going to help answer questions for us. You look puzzled behind the camera.
No, I'm just always puzzled.
It's just your look of anticipation. Hi, Sharon. Okay, you guys, I'm going to start out with the main piece in the collection, and that is the big transfer. So this is the Boho Paisley transfer. It's beautiful. The colors in this, it's got some pinks, some greens. I'm going to unroll this from the package and show you guys all of the transfer together. And then I'll show you guys my project that I've been working on. So this is 2 sheets. And they do seam together. It will be hard for me to show you guys. But can you guys see the colors in that? So this is the main transfer in the collection. This is called Boho Paisley. And some of the colors that you can pull out of this, I went ahead and pulled out some paint samples. These are from Wise Owl Paint, but just to give you an idea, this would look great with a background of pinks. So I've got a variety of pinks. Probably 1987 is a nice antique pink. Petal is a nice rose color that I see in there. Some soft blush tones. It's got some sage greens, some limier greens in there. Beautiful colors. And there's a couple of things on this transfer that I want to point out to you guys. Redesign started making the seam, so where these 2 pieces of the transfer would meet up together, it's not in a straight line. So this seam sort of weaves in and out of the florals. So when you're putting these pieces together, it will hide that seam in the pattern, which I love. It's made seaming 2 pieces of a transfer like this together even more seamless looking. I think I have this backwards. I do. This piece should be like this, and then the seam would run together on these. Let me show you guys what I mean here. So you can see these 2 pieces of this leaf would weave into each other like a puzzle piece, and so you won't notice where that seam between the 2 pieces of the transfer is. The other thing that I love on these transfers that is fairly new is there's something called, is it Hue Harmony? And it is a color sample that comes printed on the transfer itself. I'll show you guys on this one. Yes, Hue Harmony. So it's got this little color sample here. And what I like this for is you can either pull paint colors from this. This is another transfer in the new collection, but you can pull your paint colors. You could cut this off and take it to a store if you wanted to match, say, find pillows that match your transfer, or get a paint color custom mix to match your transfer. Anything like that, if you wanted to paint your walls to match your transfer, you can take this little color sample with you and it will show you colors that appear in that transfer design. Okay, so that is the main transfer. Oh, here it is on this one. So you can see it's got this little color sample right here in the top corner. And these are just some of the colors, because there is definitely more colors that appear in this transfer, but some of the more prominent ones, they give you a color sample on this. So this transfer is called Boho Paisley, and this is the one that I chose to use on my first piece of this collection. I'm going to show you that behind me. So this is what it looks like on a piece of furniture. So I just have 1 sheet on here so far, and I'm going to seam together this. If we don't have time to get to it today, which I'm hoping we will, at least get a portion of it on that will seam these together. And then I'll continue working on this piece, and this will be a full tutorial on my YouTube channel for the paint finish. I chose to pull out some of the green colors in this. And I liked the contrast between the pinks in the transfer and then the greens up for the background color. It really made some of these colors pop in my transfer. So this is the larger transfer. The dimensions on this one are 24 by 35. But there's also a maxi transfer in this collection.
I've watched the clock all day and I'm late.
Oh, that's how I roll too. Don't worry. Okay, so this is a maxi transfer, and this one's called Paisley Lover. So this is what it looks like here in the package, and then I'll show you what it looks like out of the package also. So this is the same print, but it's a smaller design, and this one's actually a buildable design. What that means is the pieces are a little more loose and not as connected, so you can kind of customize this transfer as you like. This is what it looks like outside of the package. It's 2 sheets. I believe these are 12 by 12 sheets. And you can cut out and just use pieces of this. And these are great. This is a great size for some of the smaller size pieces. So maybe you're doing a jewelry armoire or a nightstand or a smaller chest. And you can use these different size transfers to really fill different size pieces of furniture. So the first one is that larger design. It's got more pieces, fills up more real estate. And this one is a little bit smaller size. These are available now through your Redesign with Prima retailer. So Sharon is throwing up the link to find your local retailer. I also put one in the heading for this post. So you guys find your local retailer. They have these designs available as of today. But this is the maxi transfer, and this one's called Paisley Lover. I'm a Paisley lover. I love Paisley. I think it's beautiful. I think this is a really elegant Paisley too. It's got a lot of filigree in it, scrolling. It's got a lot of depth in the color to it, so it's really nicely done. It's got a lot of detail in the design. So I feel like this is a more elegant, very classy looking Paisley too. All right, the next thing we have in this collection, remember this is a collection and all the items coordinate. So far we have 2 transfers, but there is also a decoupage paper in the collection. And so this one is called Floral Paisley. This is the Redesign with Prima decoupage tissue paper. And let's open this up. And I'll hold it up next to the transfer so you can see how these coordinate. It's got the same pattern, but this is on a dark background, which is really pretty. It makes those colors in the transfer or in the Paisley really pop, the pinks and the greens, and you can see it on a dark background. So for a piece like this, I think this would be beautiful, even lining my drawers. I could coordinate this by putting the decoupage tissue paper on the drawer sides, but I can use this in conjunction. I even saw a piece, one of the sample pieces that came out today has alternating drawers, so it uses the transfer, then the paper, then the transfer, then the paper, and it looks really pretty together. So you know that when you get these, they're going to work together. The colors are identical, the print is identical. The dimensions on the paper are 19.5 by 30 inches, so it's a really good size. You can cut this up if you just need a small section and then save this and get more than one project out of it. And then here it is next to my transfer with that same matching print. This also gives you an idea what this transfer would look like on a darker background. So you can use this transfer on, say, a black background. This color is sort of a military bronze color. But it works on either dark or light color. So I've got kind of a light color background against my transfer here. And then this gives it to you on what those colors look like on a dark color background. Okay, so that's our decoupage tissue paper called Floral Paisley. But I'm not done yet, you guys. This collection keeps going.
Wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more. I feel like I am doing an infomercial. All right. Next, we've got a stencil in this collection. It's a really pretty stencil. This is called Adored Paisley. This is here in the package. The dimensions on this are, it's a 9 by 12 inch size stencil. And of course you want to see what it looks like out of the package because it's kind of hard to tell the design in there. Look how pretty that is. It's a really nice detailed stencil. One of my pet peeves is stencils that are kind of blocky and look like obvious stencils. We're going to go ahead and do a demo with this and I'll show you what it looks like actually put on something. But this is the Adored Paisley stencil. Again, really pretty. So I could take something that, say, had the transfer on it like this, and I could do a stencil up here in a corner just as an accent to give kind of another piece. I could do this in a raised design for a little bit of texture. Put this on the sides of my piece and have the transfer going on the front. So there's a lot of ways you can coordinate this collection, and they all would work together. All right, you guys, I'm coming to the end of the collection, and this is the mold. It's a beautiful mold. It's called Just Paisley, and this is a really large, good size mold. So this one is 5 inches by 10 inches. These are food safe silicone molds, so you can use these. I use them for painting and on furniture. I cast them in resin, but you can use these for melting chocolates. I see them decorating cakes, and this would be a really pretty one because it's a nice large size mold. So I have cast one here, and I went ahead and colored my mold so you could see what a finished one would look like. But it's got a really good size on it. So you can do it any which way you like, and this also has some leaves in the design. So this is, here I've got a couple of the leaves, and you can kind of build this pattern up, connect them together to really fill up a piece of furniture. I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you guys can see some of the detail in the mold itself. This, I just added a little bit of the Finnabair mica powders into my resin to create a color design. So this is the mold out of the package called Just Paisley. You can cast just a single flower if you like, just a single leaf, but it's got a nice large design on it, and I like to take these and weave them up a piece of furniture like this. And this is a mold that would take up a lot of real estate. So it's a great furniture size mold. But if you wanted to just isolate just a flower on it, you can totally do that too. All right, so you guys, we've got the mold, Just Paisley. We've got the paper, which is called Floral Paisley. We've got the stencil, which is called Adored Paisley. Do you guys notice the theme here? We've got the large transfer, which is called Boho Paisley. And then the maxi size transfer, which is called Paisley Lover. And that is the Bohemian Paisley collection. So these are limited release collections, which means that once the stock is out, these are going to be gone. So these are with your retailers now, your Redesign with Prima retailers now. If you're loving something that you've seen today, don't hesitate in getting them, because these will probably go quickly, and once that stock is gone, these are gone. All right, so you guys want to use some of this? Let's start, and I wanted to do a demo with that stencil so that you can really see some of the detail in it. So I've got a sample board here. We're going to pull over a table, and let's go ahead and use that beautiful stencil. All right, so I'm just going to place this, and I went ahead and put it on a gray background so that you guys can really see the contrast in the color. Can you see this okay? You want me to raise it up a little bit?
No, you're fine.
Okay. I put it down like this, and then I'm going to use the Redesign chalk paste. Chalk paste is ideal for stenciling. It gives a lightly textured design. It's thicker than a paint, so it doesn't want to run underneath your stencil. So I'm not even going to use an adhesive with this. I'm just going to keep it in place. I probably should have a little bit of painter's tape. I do. Let's add some painter's tape just to hold this in place so it doesn't want to move around. So I'm just going to add a piece at the bottom. And a piece up here at the top. And then I like to do stencil designs using my Redesign with Prima spread pals. I get so much use out of these, you guys, for all kinds of stuff. These are silicone spatula tools. They're nice and bendy, and they're great for applying. The chalk paste are the perfect consistency, so it's like a whipped mousse. Notice it doesn't want to drip like a paint. And I can just scrape it out with my spread pal. And then I'm just going to go over the top of my stencil and make a thin layer of my chalk paste. This color is called Sand, which it's the color of sand, so very appropriately named. So have you guys been watching the lives today? Do you guys have a favorite collection so far? I really like the molds in the, oh gosh, some of the new molds. I'll show those to you guys too, in case you didn't catch them on Leah and Bianca's live earlier today. Those new molds. I'm really going through a large mold phase right now. So I'm just scraping a thin layer flush with my stencil, and then I'll come back. So I lay it on with the spread pal, with my chalk paste. I'll lay it on a nice thick layer. And once I've got my stencil covered, I don't see any more of that background color, I'll come back with my spread pal and I'll clean that up so I've got it nice and flush with my stencil, remove any of that excess, and then I'll come over here to another portion. That way I'm not wasting any of my chalk paste by leaving it on the surface of my stencil. The chalk paste does clean up really easily. So once I'm done with this, I'll take my stencil over to the sink and wash it off while that's nice and fresh, and it will wash away easily just like a paint would. So again, scrape it over the top, and then I'll come back kind of at like a 45-degree angle and just clean the excess off the top. The other tip I want to give you with your chalk paste is to save this little lid that comes inside. I've had these chalk pastes for several years, and they keep really well. As long as you keep this little lid that's inside, it will seal it off and keep those nice and fresh. You can apply your chalk paste a little bit thicker, or I'm scraping mine back, getting a fairly thin layer. And here where I get to the edges, because this is on a sample cabinet door, I'm just going to press my stencil down and get it as close to that edge as I can. And then I'm going to look it over and just look for any areas that I missed. I've got a little area right here that's a little thin. And I just look for any areas where I can see any of that gray background showing through. All right, and that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to clean off my spread pal. I'll just scrape the excess chalk paste back into my container. This will go over to my sink to get washed, my spread pal, and I can reuse this over and over. And I use these on all kinds of things. So I just used it here for a stencil, raised stenciling they're great for. I use them for as resin tools because they're made of silicone. So resin doesn't stick to silicone. All right, and then I'm going to put this lid back inside the container. Just like that, so it's nice and sealed. Put my screw-on lid back on, and my chalk paste will keep. These store really nicely. All right, you guys ready? This is the magic part where I'm going to peel away this stencil. And I've got a beautiful design. Look down here on the leaf especially. You can see all this detail that's in here. It's going to be lightly raised, so once this dries, it'll have a nice light amount of texture in here. Tons of detail in that stencil. That came out really clean with the chalk paste, especially with these fine details. When you use paint without a stencil adhesive, it can want to bleed through underneath and you lose some of that definition, but the chalk paste gives you a really nice, clean, defined stencil. So you can see how beautiful that would be. And then I could use this together and kind of build a design, connect them. I can create a sort of vine with the paisley. So that's a beautiful stencil. All right, you guys want to go ahead and pour a mold together? You want to pour the new mold? Oh, I said I was going to show you guys some of the new molds that were already shown this morning, but I love them too, so I'm going to show them to you also. This one is called Lucian, and it's frames. So that's got oval frames, it's got a square in it. This is not part of the Paisley collection, but I'm going to show you guys anyway because I get the privilege of being last today. There are some more lives later, but this is the last reveal this morning. And so I get to I'm going to show you guys the other stuff too. Lysandra. These have kind of like plates in the background. These could be pretty like backs for you could put a knob in the middle of here if you were doing furniture. You could decoupage a little design on here and it would look like a little apothecary cabinet. That's what these reminded me of little apothecary chests, and all the frames, just very eclectic. This one's called Astrid. This one's really nice because it's got leveled designs in it. So you actually get six different size frames all in one mold. Really ornate patterns on them. That's Astrid. This one's a little bit bigger. This one's...
Don't bring it so close to the camera. I see the lens is freaking out trying to
Okay, sorry. I'll stay
get
back.
the detail.
Sorry, I'm invading Sean's personal space. That's what he's telling me.
It's like an earthquake.
Don't come so close.
Yeah, I have a 10-foot.
Too close.
Yeah.
This is my... Okay, this one's called Finley. This one's got a nice large size on the outside and then that smaller design in the middle. Blackwood Manor. And then this one Roz just did before me, the Sweet Dahlia collection. This one has a transfer. These all have transfers and everything with them, but I'm addicted to my molds right now, so I'm super excited about these.
Cindy, arm's length isn't far enough.
No, it's not. We've been married for a long time.
I do require 10 to 20 feet. It depends on my mood.
Okay, I wanted to show you guys, let's go ahead and cast one of the new molds. So this is the Just Paisley mold. And I want to show you how to add a little bit of color to the mold. We're going to do that using some of the Finnabair mica powders. So these are a really fine powder that's got some shimmer to it. And I'm just going to choose a couple colors from the background of my transfer out of my mica powder. So I'm going to choose, this is a sort of lime green color, and then this is a nice bronze color. So these are sets of mica powders. They come in sets of 6 from Finnabair. I've got all mine poured into a bag here, but this is actually 4 different sets of 6 mica powders. And they're all kind of themed to like, I think you guys have them set up in themes like springtime, summer, fall. And then I'm going to tip this upside down. I've got a little artist brush with me. And that puts a little bit of my mica powder into the lid of my container. And then I'm going to come over here onto my mold. And I'm going to dust my mold with the mica powder. So I chose colors that you'd find in this transfer itself.
That's my back creaking.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
We're there.
We're about getting there.
We're there.
Where when you get up from a chair, you have to make the sound.
And the hand goes out for an assist.
Yeah,
yes,
that helps.
Yeah,
but
like every piece of furniture has a rail to grab onto.
Wait, we're not.
We're not there yet. Oh, okay.
Okay, and then once I'm done dusting that, now you don't need to put a lot of excess of the mica powder in your mold. If you do, it will just end up floating in your resin. So I just put enough to cover the base of my mold. And then I'm going to come with the bronze, and I'm going to put this down the center of my mold. So I'm just doing enough to cover the silicone of my mold. All right, and from here, I like to pour my my molds in casting resin, 2-part casting resin.
Oh, Cindy's 60th birthday is tomorrow.
Oh, is it tomorrow? Happy
What?
birthday, Cindy. Yesterday was my sister's birthday. All the July babies. So I'm going to show you guys what this is going to end up looking like when we're done. I'm going to be able to pull this out, and this is going to have color in the resin itself without having to paint my mold. It's going to bring out all those details. All right, so my 2-part casting resin I store in these condiment bottles here. This one needs to be stirred because it's old. That's not normal to have to stir this, but my resin is a little old and I'm trying to use up the last of it. I order it in large quantities, and I found some on the, the back of the shelf and was like, oops, I better use that. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and pour this. So this is a 2-part casting resin. This is Amazing Resin from Alumilite. And I'm just going to do this one leaf. So this is actually a really forgiving resin in that your mixture doesn't have to be exact and it will still set up. So I'm going to go ahead and pour equal amounts of my part A and B. Give myself a little bit more of that so I don't run out.
Make sure you put the lid on that one.
Yeah, that's an accident waiting to happen. All right, and this is my part B. We'll put that one up on the table.
That's a train wreck waiting to happen. I don't want to clean that.
Can you tell Sean's a little nervous right now? All right, and then I'm going to stir these together. And I stir for about 30 seconds, and you can tell that your mixture starts off kind of milky. And then once it gets back a little bit of its translucency, it's ready to go ahead and pour. I'm going to go ahead and pour this in your mold. You want to make sure your mold is on a level surface because this is a liquid, and when you don't have a level surface, liquid's going to find the part that is unlevel. All right, and then anytime that I pour a mold, I try to underfill it because if you overfill it, you're going to get like a muffin top on it. And so anytime, I don't want you to, that wasn't a comment about your muffin top. Anytime I mix extra resin, I always try to pour it. So I have a little bit of extra. I'm going to go ahead and pour this other leaf over here, even though I didn't add my color to it. But I don't want to waste my resin. All right, and I've got a tiny bit more. I'm just going to get a little tiny flower out of it.
Is there a fig leaf in there for my muffin top?
Yeah, for your muffin top. I don't know if fig leaf is going to be enough for the muffin top.
It's going to be a really big fig leaf. Big fig tree.
Yeah, this is a good size mold, but I don't think it's going to quite cover it. All right, and we're going to set this aside. And this takes about 10 minutes to cure, and we'll pull that colored mold out, and it will already have some color to it. So I'm going to set this aside, and Sean's not going to knock it over. He's not.
I don't think you have to worry about me.
All right, I'm going to put my resin aside, and while we're waiting for that to set up, I'm going to move aside my beautiful stencil. And we'll come apply some of this transfer. And I'll show you guys kind of what I'm doing with this transfer. So I obviously don't have it finished. I've only got one of the panels attached. And so you can see I've kind of got a seam here and it's waiting for the next part of my transfer to be applied. So this is my second sheet of my transfer. And if I put this about where the placement would be alongside the piece next to it, I kind of want to do an asymmetrical design. So I'm going to have a smaller piece at the top and it's kind of going to grow as I get towards the bottom of my piece. So I'm going to mark this out and show you guys how I'm going to seam this together. I'm only going to take certain pieces of this. So I want this piece here. I'm not going to take this big flower, so we'll cut that out, but I want this piece here. I don't think I want this big leaf, but if I feel like I've got a naked spot after I attach this, I can come back and grab that guy. I'm going to come and grab this leaf here, and I think I'm going to grab this flower too. So I like these transfers because I can cut them up and really customize my design. I'm going to take this vine.
You didn't do so good with coloring in the lines, did you?
Yeah, but you can see how my design is going to be kind of free-flowing. I'm going to take this big flower here, and then I'll go ahead and grab all of this bottom piece, but it's going to run off the bottom of my furniture piece. So that's going to be my cut line that I make. And you can kind of see how my transfer is going to get larger as I get to the bottom of my furniture piece. All right, so I'm going to grab my scissors. I cut up most of my transfers. And I'll end up getting, out of this one transfer, I'm going to get a full-size furniture piece. This is a full-size sideboard. And I'll still have enough left over that I can come back and do something else with the portion that I'm going to have left over. All right, so I'll just do, let's just take a certain piece of this to start. This is the piece that's going to attach here. Let's go ahead and attach this one. So this is a fairly small piece. The package for these comes with a stick in the package to attach your transfer. This is just going to finish off this last section of my transfer. And I talked to you guys a little bit about how the seam on these kind of weaves in and out of the design. So once I've got my placement decided, I'm going to go ahead and take away this white backing sheet. And this gets discarded. And I'm going to find my placement on here and find my seam to the existing piece. And so I'm starting off with a leaf that looks kind of cut off, like it ends a little abruptly. And this is going to finish off that design and make it look more organic and free-flowing.
I'd get in closer, but then I'd probably have to touch your mold.
Oh, you said...
And I don't want to do that.
Can you move it aside? I noticed my mold is turning white already, so you could probably move it and it wouldn't spill.
Well, you'd still blame me for something.
Probably.
Yep.
Oh, what did you do?
Yep.
Just kidding.
I know.
Okay, so once I've got my placement, my seam matches all the way from the top to the bottom. I can go ahead and use my transfer stick, and I'm just going to rub over the entire...
Yeah, Cindy says I need to invade your space. Get all in there.
And then once I've gone over the entire thing, I'm going to find a corner of my clear backing sheet, and while I rub my transfer, I'm going to pull away that clear backing sheet at the same time.
Oh, I'm getting all in there.
Okay, so all I'm doing is finishing off the last little section of this design. But it's not done yet. I've got it attached onto my piece. My seam is nice and hidden in my design. So it used to be where it would have like a straight line, and you could tell that all the way down there was a straight line. So this makes it much easier to seam those pieces together. Once I've got it on, I'm going to rub over it just using my finger.
Cindy, I'm used to it. That you completely ignored me.
Yeah, I usually do. It's a skill actually that I've learned how to tune him out.
Yeah. So weird that you exercise that right 24 hours a day.
And then I'm going to come back with the Redesign with Prima. This is their polishing pad, sorry. And I cut mine into little squares, and then I'm just going to rub over the surface of my transfer. And this just seats it, gets out any air bubbles. And now that's nice and perfectly seated. So let's go down to this next section, and I'm going to cut out the next section of my transfer that I decided, which was this guy down here. So I'm getting into kind of a larger flower.
I don't want to see what you're thinking, so I'm going to back up.
So if it helps, you can mark out just like I did with my Sharpie, and I marked out my cut line on here. So if you're undecided on where you should cut on your transfer, you can mark it all up. That's not going to transfer onto my actual design itself. And then I can just follow my cut line. That weaves in and out of my design. Around this big flower, because I want to try to get that on my furniture piece. All right, so if everything goes as planned, this will be what I have left over, which is almost half of the transfer, and I will have filled an entire design on this, and I'll still have almost half my transfer left. I want to keep this attached to the white backing sheet. I'm going to take this piece of painter's tape off, and I'm going to roll this back up and put it back in the tube to store it.
Oh, Sharon, I agree. It's called selective hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I chose to hear that one. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that. Guys are just more abrupt about it and always ask, huh?
Okay, so I place this back in the tube, and I'll store this, and I can come back and use it later. All right, so let's see. The next part of my transfer meets up right here on this leaf, and it's going to go down. So I'm only going to pull back a piece of this backing sheet, and I'm just going to start working this one little section at a time.
All right.
It's fine. Oh no, meets up right here. Yep, that makes way more sense.
Sorry guys, got to dance around all this.
Okay, so I've got a little curve right here that's missing the edge of this leaf. And so I'm going to put these together, and then I want the stem of this flower to match up with the stem underneath there. So I need to match it up in both places. Just working this one drawer at a time. All right, and the other thing I always have out when I'm doing a transfer is a razor knife, because I'm just going to work this one drawer at a time. So right here, where this goes to meet with the next drawer, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. So I'm going to use a nice sharp razor knife and just cut, and I'll just do one drawer at a time. So as I get ready to do my next drawer, I'll pull this back out. I left that backing sheet attached, so I can set this aside while I'm just working this one portion. So I've got these seamed up together. I went ahead and pressed it into place, and now I'm going to rub over it with my transfer stick. Here I've got a piece of molding on my furniture piece, and so I'm going to walk down this like a set of stairs, and I'm going to rub it into the crevice of my furniture piece. I'm going to use my fingers and wrap that molding, and then I'm going to rub it into the section underneath too. So I did the top crevice, wrapped it around, and then up underneath. Okay, and same thing like I did up above. Once I've rubbed over the entire transfer, I'm going to find an edge, start pulling that away. And I'm going slowly because I want to make sure that I leave the transfer design or the transfer on my furniture piece. If you pull too quickly, you can want to pull away with the clear backing sheet and you can ruin your transfer. So go nice and slow, make sure that it's staying where you want before you pull that backing sheet away. I'm rubbing over it while I pull. I'm being more careful around edges of the transfer because those will be places that want to pull away. Okay, and then it's wrapped here. Make sure I get up underneath. And then I should just be able to pull my transfer off of that piece of molding. A little tiny. Okay, and so it's not perfect yet, so I'm going to rub over it still with my finger. I use my finger first because my finger will feel any loose edges, any areas that need to be pressed down, any air bubbles, whereas if I go straight to the polishing pad, I might do damage to places that aren't fully attached. So my finger is a little bit more sensitive. And then what I like to do on areas where I've got a really deep, like 90-degree crevice like this is I'm actually going to take my razor knife and I'm just going to give a slice to my transfer. And that just releases the tension on those deep corners and gives it a nice, clean edge that's seated deep down in that crevice. So now that I've got my transfer in place there, I'm going to rub over it with the polishing pad. Okay, this is where my hardware is going to sit, and the transfer, I can just puncture the transfer with a screwdriver. This is a paintbrush, and I can puncture that screw hole right back out, and you can see my hardware is going to sit right here. Okay, so I've got 1, 2 drawers, and you can see how my design slowly starts coming out, and as I get to this drawer, it's going to come out further, and this drawer, I'll be about halfway out on my furniture piece. You guys want to go back and check out our mold and see how that's looking? So this is the mold in the collection that we added a little bit of color to. So we waited a few minutes and I can feel this has gotten warm. That's the chemical reaction starting to happen. The mica powder that I got around the edge of my mold, that will just clean off. I take a little bit of Dawn dish soap and a scrub brush and I can just clean that mica powder off. But once this has turned white all the way around, I can flex the silicone of my mold, and can you see how that will start popping away? Okay, and this is the one we added color to. So this comes right out of the mold with the bronze and the green color that we added from the mica powder. So I've got this one I did a little earlier. This one I actually did the colors opposite, so I did the bronze on the outside of the leaves with the light green at the center. So that's 2 different versions of the same colors. And then if I want to bring out even more detail in my molds, I'll add a little bit of the Redesign with Prima decor wax. This color is called Eternal, which is a really rich gold, and I can just take a little bit on my finger and brush that over the top, and it just hits the high points of the mold and brings out all the detail in it. So now I've got 3 colors in my mold, and all I did was add a little bit of the decor wax. So that's with the gold over the top. Add a little bit of gold on this one too. So I just dust it with my finger, very little decor wax. So my decor wax is actually in a tin, it's the older container. They now come in a tube. Same concept though, I would just squeeze a little bit of the tube out onto my finger, dust over the top of it, and gives me 3 colors on a mold without having to use any paint. Now these over here I didn't add any color to, this was just my excess resin. Same thing, I'm going to flex my silicone mold and these pop out, and this is how the resin looks without the mica powder. It's just white. This can be painted. You can use the decor wax on these too, and the decor wax just brings out all the detail in that mold. I like using resin for my molds because I find they come out with the most detailed, clearest casting. You can see with the decor wax. And then this was just a little piece I cast just because I had even more excess resin. I just chose a random little piece of the filigree. So that was our, I'll put these on the white background so you can see the color even better. So that was our mold. All right, you guys.
Name of the transfers again?
This the transfer is called Boho Paisley. This is the large transfer that I used. And then there's also a maxi size transfer, which is 2 sheets. These are 12 by 12. Yeah, 12 by 12 sheets. That's a little bit smaller. And this one's called Paisley Lover. So Boho Paisley and Paisley Lover are the 2 transfers in this collection. And then we had a paper. Paper's called Floral Paisley. That was this here. That's a tissue paper. We had the mold called Just Paisley, and we cast that here. And then we had the stencil that we put on our sample board. Let's see. Not quite dry yet, but it is tacky enough that I can touch it. So that chalk paste dries pretty quickly. I would say leave it for a few hours and that'll be dry to the touch, and then you could come back and either paint over the top of this or add a little bit of your decor wax over the top of the stencil. So you guys have a favorite piece in the collection? I don't know. I think I'm partial to the big transfer. I really like the size of it. I really like how customizable it is. I'm going to keep working my way down the front of this piece. So this first section, this first drawer here, I did about 1/4. The next one I moved it over even more. By this drawer, I'll be to the halfway point. About here, about to the halfway point. Kind of where I envision it ending. So that'll complete the rest of my furniture piece. So that was fun, right, you guys? All right, so we have more lives coming up today. A bunch of artists are coming on all day today. We've got Eclat Designs by Kristen. Elle with Elle Furniture Designs is going to be on. Check out the lives from earlier this morning on the rest of the collections that came out today. There's been new designs from Kacha, new foil transfers. We've got the Dahlia collection that Roz just before me. So if you want to see those, check those out on the lives on the Redesign with Prima page. They've been going on all morning. And then I say morning because I'm in California. For some of you guys on the East Coast, you're like, what are you talking about, Brandy? It's already like we've had lunch. We're having cocktails now. Yeah, I'm just waking up.
Well, actually, it's even after 12, so it's not morning anymore.
And then look for all the artists, you guys, that have been working on beautiful pieces using these. All these products already are going to be being unveiled all this week. I'm going to finish up this piece here, and this will be a video on my YouTube channel. If you guys aren't already subscribed, check out Brush by Brandy on YouTube. I do a weekly full furniture tutorial with a paint finish. I use transfers, molds, all different kinds of things. So this will be a full tutorial on my YouTube channel. Subscribe there. You'll get a notification when that comes out. I usually do a new video each Friday. And you guys, these designs are all available at your Redesign with Prima retailers. Sharon's been throwing up that link, so go find your closest local retailer. They already have them on hand. These are limited edition releases. So once the stock is gone, these will be gone. So if there's something you love, go ahead and go out and grab it today. And I'm going to go ahead and pop off. You guys, this was really fun for me today to show you guys all these new products. I think this collection is gorgeous. Like I said, it's the one that popped out to me the most. It's the most in keeping with my style. I love the free-flowing design of this. The colors in it are beautiful. So I'm super excited to have this in the Redesign collection. Thank you to Redesign for having us all today. And you guys, I will catch you later. I'm live every Thursday on the Brush by Brandy page if you want to find me there too. And I will let you guys go. Have a great week, everyone.